Hey YouTube, Philly J with Different Dimension Gaming coming at you with my Adventure Phantom Knight deck profile. So last year we did the Phantom Knight deck, but I decided to check it out a little bit, test some new engine, and I really like how it performs. So I thought I would upload it. There's a few small changes and there's a few flex spots in the deck that I'll go over as well. But with that being said, let's get right into it. For your Phantom Knights, you're going to run 3 copies of Phantom Knights of Torn Scales. This is probably the best normal summon in your deck. When it's on the field, it's not an on summon effect, it's an activated effect. So you summon it and then you activate the effect. You can discard a card to send a Phantom Knights card from your deck to the graveyard. And all the Phantom Knights in the graveyard are extenders. And then if a Phantom Knight card in your graveyard is banished, you can summon it from the graveyard, but it's banished when it leaves the field. But of course, we have ways around that. I'm going to play 3 copies of Phantom Knights of Silent Boots. So if you control a Phantom Knights monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. That includes your Xyzes or your Lynx. And once per turn, while it's in the graveyard, you can banish it from the graveyard to add a Phantom Knight spell trap from your deck to your hand. You can only summon it that way once per turn as well. And you do not have to control a different Phantom Knight. So if you open 2 boots, you can normal a boots and then special summon a boots. Play 2 copies of Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak. If this card is in attack position, you can target a dark monster on the field, change this card to defense position, and that monster gains 800 attack. Really good to beef up some of your smaller monsters, especially if you end up kind of bricking, which is possible with every deck. But if this card is in the graveyard, you can banish it from the graveyard to add a Phantom Knight card from your deck to your hand. Of course, all these banish effects will trigger our Torn Scales. We're going to play 1 copy each of the last 2, Stained Greaves and Ragged Gloves. So these 2 are kind of flex spots, I would say, but I think they're really, really good if you can get them into the graveyard because they are both extenders, as we said before. But Phantom Knights of Stained Greaves, if a Phantom Knights monster is special summoned to the field, except during the damage step, you can summon it from your hand, and then you can increase or decrease its level by 1, depending on what you need it to do. And then if it's in the graveyard, you can banish it from the graveyard to special summon a Phantom Knights monster from your hand. Ragged Gloves, if a monster is Xyz summoned using it as Xyz material, it gains 1000 attack, and you can banish it from your graveyard to send a Phantom Knights card from your deck to the graveyard. You can only use each effect of both once per turn. So that's it for your Phantom Knight monsters. It's a smaller engine, but it's very, very consistent. Especially when you pair it with our spells and traps. As I'm just throwing cards all over the place. I'm only playing 2 spells. The Phantom Knights Rank Up Magic Force and the Phantom Knights Rank Up Magic Launch. So each of these summons something different in our combo, which you will see later on this week. So during the main phase, banish 1 or more dark monsters from your graveyard, then target a dark Xyz monster you control. Summon an Xyz Dragon, Raid Raptor, or Phantom Knights monster on top of that monster, and use all those materials as Xyz material. So if you have a break sword with 1 material, you can banish 1 to rank it up into a rank 4, and now that rank 4 has got 2 material. This card also locks you into Xyz monsters for the rest of the turn. We really use both of these more on our opponent's turn to gain an interruption as well as a powerful monster. The Phantom Knights Rank Up Magic Launch. During the main phase, target 1 dark Xyz monster you control with no material. Special summon from your extra deck 1 dark Xyz monster that is 1 rank higher, and if you do, attach that monster on the field to it as an Xyz material. And then as a secondary effect, During your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one Dark Xyz monster you control, attach one the Phantom Knight's monster from your hand to it as an Xyz material. I've never used that second effect, but I can see its uses. So that's it for your Phantom Knight spells. For the traps, we're playing 2 copies of Fogblade and 1 copy of Sword. So Fogblade is like an imperm with a bit of extra spice on it. Activate this card by targeting 1 effect monster on the field, negate its effects, and that monster cannot attack, and it cannot be attacked. So this targets anything on the field, so if you want to protect something of your own, you can do that. And then when that monster is destroyed, destroy this card. And then because it's a Phantom Knight's card, it has an effect in the graveyard, where you can banish it from the graveyard to special summon a Phantom Knight's monster from your graveyard, but it's banished when it leaves the field. Sword also shares that effect. And if you want to play Wings, you could. It's also got the banish to summon, but it's banished when it leaves the field effect. The first effect of Phantom Knight's Sword is target a face-up monster on the field. It gains 800 attack, and the first time it would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you destroy this card instead. So again, really good for beefing up some of your smaller stuff and keep something from being destroyed once. Now, for our adventure engine, we are playing 3 Water Enchantress, 1 Gryphon Rider, 2 Rite of Aramasir, get that center a little bit more, 1 Fateful Adventure, and 1 Dracoback the Rideable Dragon. So, this engine works because 1, she's a 3. 2, we do not need our normal summon, and Fateful Adventure turns off the effects of your normal summon monster. So, running through the effects, Water Enchantress, you can banish from your hand or graveyard to add a Rite of Aramasir from your deck to your hand, and if you control an adventure token, you can special summon her from your hand. Rite of Aramasir, if you do not control an adventure token, special summon 1 adventure token and then place Fateful Adventure in your spell and trap zone. Fateful Adventure has 2 effects, very, very good effects. Once per turn, actually I guess it technically has 3 effects. Once per turn, the first time a monster you control that is equipped with an equip card would be destroyed, it is not destroyed. So our Dracoback equipped with a token will protect it. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. So first of all, if you normal or special summon a monster, Fateful Adventure can add an equip spell from your deck to your hand, and then you can, once per turn, add a monster from your main deck to your hand that mentions the adventure token, and then send a card from your hand to the graveyard. And that matters because of Dracoback. So Dracoback can only be equipped to a monster that you control. You can only control 1 Dracoback. You only use each of the following effects once per turn. While this card is equipped to a non-effect monster, you can target 1 card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. The card, the effect we really care about is if this card is sent to the graveyard, target 1 adventure card token you control, equip this card to that target. So what that means is you normal summon your, let's say, Ancient Cloak. You normal summon Ancient Cloak, you trigger the Fateful Adventure, you add Gryphon Rider, and then because you already did it, you can take the Dracoback, send it to the graveyard, and then equip it to your adventure token. Now, Gryphon Rider is the card that you really care about. And sometimes you open it and it's awesome. During the main phase, if you control no monsters or control an adventure token, as a quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. When a card or effect is activated while you control an adventure token, quick effect, you can shuffle this card into the deck and you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So this is an Omni negate, and that means it can negate anything, card or effect. So the really easy way to do this is you banish the Enchantress, add the Rite, activate the Rite, summon the token, place the Fateful, activate the Fateful, add Draco back, add Gryphon, send Draco back, place the Draco back, equip it to the token, summon the guy, and you've got an Omni Negate in 2 summons. I want to do that very, very quickly. I will go through it more in depth and slower in the combo video later on this week. That's the adventure line. You can play 3 Rite of Aramasir if you want, but I don't think it's necessary. Now we are still on the Burning Abyss engine, so we're playing the 3 copies of Tour Guide, the 1 Seer, and the 1 Graph. Tour Guide's effect. When this card is normal summon, you can special summon 1 level 3 Fiend from your hand or deck, but negate its effects. Also cannot be used as synchro material. We're not playing any synchros, that's fine. So realistically, you would normal summon Tour Guide, and then you would summon Graph from your deck, because when Graph is sent to the graveyard, it summons a Burning Abyss from your deck. You cannot use that effect of Graph if you special summon it from your hand through its own effect, and the same goes for Seer. If you special summon it through its own effect, you cannot activate the effect in the graveyard, and you really, really want the effect in the graveyard. So ideally you would Tour Guide, summon Graph through Tour Guide's effect. Its effect is negated so they don't die, because, you know, why the BA no die? And then when you link these 2 off, you can summon Seer for free. So when Seer is sent to the graveyard, you can summon a Burning Abyss monster from your graveyard. So what we do with that is we summon back our Cherubini to further our link plays. So a Tour Guide, summon Graph, link it into Cherubini. Cherubini effect, send any level 3 to the graveyard. And then Graph effect will bring out Seer. And then you can link those off into your Rusty Bardiche. It's Rusty for off of 1 normal summon. It's awesome. Also, it's important to remember with the Fateful Adventure are activated effects. So you can get your normal summon of Tour Guide to bring out Graph, and then do your whole adventure line. You can have your Omni Negate in 4 summons. And because we like to play the game really, really well, we are still playing the Destiny Hero Fusion engine, the 3 Fusion Destiny, the 1 Dasher, the 1 Celestial. So Fusion Destiny sends these 2 to the graveyard to fusion summon a Destiny Hero monster, and these both have effects in the graveyard, which makes them both extenders as well. Dasher, in your draw phase, if you drew a monster, you can reveal it and then special summon it to your field. Celestial, you can banish it from the graveyard if you have no cards in hand to draw 2 cards. But you cannot activate that effect the turn that it is sent to the graveyard. So you do your whole combo. You have to finish on Fusion Destiny because it locks you into Dark Heroes for the rest of the turn. So you do your whole combo, and then you drop Fusion Destiny, get these 2 engraved, and then you've got follow-up on the Crackback. And then for a couple generic spells, we're playing 1 Reinforcements of the Army, 1 Foolish Burial, and 1 Called by the Grave. Reinforcing the Army as a warrior monster from your deck to your hand, level 4 or lower. Foolish Burial sends a monster from your deck to the graveyard, and Called by the Grave just stops your opponent's interruption by banishing a card from your opponent's graveyard and negating the effects of that monster in the grave or on the field for the rest of the turn and until the end of the next turn. So it's a 2-turn negate. Now, for your actual flex spots in the deck, you have 6 spots. Currently, I am playing 3 Forbidden Droplet and 3 Ash Blossom because there are no fire players at my locals. The Ash Blossom, again, it's format dependent. This format, if you have a very meta focused locals and you've got a lot of fire players, probably play Droll over this because you're not drawing anything on your opponent's turn. Forbidden Droplet is crazy. Let's say you go second. Let's say you open just these 2 cards, right? You activate Reinforcement of the Army, just search, you chain Droplet, you send Reinforcements of the Army, you get a negate, and you still get your search. So let's break down the actual effects of what they do. Forbidden Droplet, send any number of cards you control to negate the effects of that many monsters your opponent controls, and it also halves their attack. Then, depending on what you send, your opponent cannot respond with cards of the same type. So if you send a monster, they can't respond with a monster. Spell, they can't respond with a spell. Trap, they can't respond with a trap. So if you send all three, your opponent cannot respond at all. And because all of our traps are extenders in the graveyard, it's kind of a double whammy. Ash Blossom, if your opponent would add a card from their deck to anywhere except banished, discard Ash Blossom to negate the effect. It is important to know Ash Blossom does not have to go to graveyard to resolve its effect. So you can Ash Blossom under Shifter. That's it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck, we'll start with our Xyz monsters. You're going to play 2 copies of the Phantom Knights of Breaksword. You need 2 level 3 monsters. Once per turn, you can detach a material from this card, then target 1 card you control and 1 card your opponent controls. Destroy them. If this Xyz summon card is destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can special summon 2 Phantom Knights monsters from your graveyard, but their levels become 4, and you are locked into dark monsters for the rest of the turn. Now our extra deck is all dark except for 1 monster. 1 copy of Raider's Knight, 1 copy of Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon, 1 copy of Arc Rebellion Xyz Dragon, and 1 copy of Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon. So, just do this a little bit better, and I did that worse. There. So Raider's Knight needs 2 level 4 dark monsters, so we can get that off of our Breaksword. You can attach a material to either rank it up or rank it down by 1, but it has to be a Raid Raptor, a Phantom Knights, or an Xyz Dragon. Arc Rebellion Xyz Dragon says win the game. So in this deck, you exclusively summon it on top of your Raider's Knight because its effect is crazy, and you only want to do it if you're attacking for turn. If it's Xyz summoned, it cannot be destroyed by card effects. This is treated as an Xyz summon. You can attach 1 material from this card, negate the effects of all monsters face up on the field, which immediately is crazy. Then it gains the attack of all monsters currently on the field, except for itself. So on average, this thing becomes 10,000 plus attack. It's the only monster that you can attack with for the rest of the turn, which is fine, because at 10,000 attack plus, what are you losing to? Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon needs 2 level 4 monsters. Again, we summon it off of our Breaksword. You can attach 2 materials from this card. Target a face-up monster your opponent controls. Its attack becomes half its current attack, and Dark Rebellion gains the attack. But again, we're using this guy to go into this guy. Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon is bonkers good. So as long as it has Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon as an Xyz material, it gains 2 effects. 1, once per turn, you can attach a material from this card. Target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Its attack becomes 0, and this monster gains the attack of that monster. But the really good effect is this one. When your opponent activates a monster effect, as a quick effect, you can detach a material from this card, negate the activation, destroy that card, and then summon an Xyz monster from your graveyard. There is no once per turn on this card. So it's 3 monster negates and 3 summons from the graveyard, possibly. That's crazy. And because we're summoning it on our opponent's turn, you've got a graveyard full of Xyz monsters. Incredible. It's one of my favorite cards in the game, second only to Arc Rebellion. Now, we are playing a little fancy tech to combo with our Phantom Knights of Breaksword. If it's summoned back with our Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon, we use our Phantom Knights Rank Up Magic launch to summon Evil Swarm Ophion. What does Ophion do, you ask? If it has an Xyz material, neither player can summon level 5 or higher monsters. That's crazy. That's a floodgate. It's 2550 and it's a floodgate. Now again, it's deck dependent. So like if you're playing against Fire King, they can't summon Flambears. That's pretty good. If you're playing against Sword Soul, they can't synchro summon. But if you're playing against like a Link deck, you're in trouble. But you've got enough negation that I think you'll be alright. And for our last two Xyz monsters, we're playing the one Downward Magician and the one copy of Zeus. So Downward Magician is just to go into Zeus. We don't really care about her effects. You just have to know that you can put her on top of a rank 3 or lower monster. And then Zeus can be put on top of any Xyz monster as long as an Xyz monster battled this turn. So let's say you attack with your Dark Requiem. Because it's an Xyz monster and it battled, you can put both of these on top of your Breaksword, including all of its Xyz materials. It's a very, very powerful engine, but I understand that it's not the most budget engine. So if you can't afford the Zeus, don't play the Downward, and I would suggest playing something like IP Masquerena and Ashura King instead. IP just lets you link on your opponent's turn, and Ashura King is a multiple attacker that can negate a monster effect. And if you are in a more competitive locals and you don't need the Evil Swarm Ophion, you could easily play the Typhoon Sky Crisis in its place. Just a couple replacements depending on your locals, because I understand that not everything is the same as mine. That's it for our Xyz monsters. Let's get into our one and only fusion monster. Destiny Hero, Destroyer, Phoenix Enforcer. Now, it is a level 8, so it does not work in tandem with our Evil Swarm Ophion. But again, you're going to be summoning Ophion after he's already on the field, and you can use him to pop other things on your side of the field to deal with your opponent's side of the field anyways. But if you happen to get him off the field, because he summons a Destiny Hero monster, you can use him to bring back Celestial if you have to. Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer needs 2 Destiny Hero monsters. One has to be a level 6 or higher. Once per turn, during either player's turn, as a quick effect, you can destroy a card you control, and then you can destroy a card on the field, no matter where it is. Very good interruption, and it does not have to destroy itself, but destroying itself does help it dodge cards like Infinite Impermanence. And for the links, we are playing one Cherubini, Ebon Angel of the Burning Abyss, one the Dark Charmer Gloomy. Those are your 2 link 2s. Cherubini needs 2 level 3 monsters to be link summoned. And then as an activated effect, not an on-summon effect, you can send a level 3 monster from your deck to the graveyard as cost to increase the attack of one Burning Abyss monster on your side of the field. Now, I have had a lot of people try to imperm or effect veiler this. It's the best feeling because she sends for cost and you cannot negate cost. You don't really care about the attack gain effect because she's leaving the field to go into one of your link 3s anyways. The Dark Charmer Gloomy needs 2 monsters, including a dark monster. When it's link summoned, you can target a dark monster in your opponent's graveyard, summon it to your side of the field to a zone that it points to, and then if it's destroyed by battle or card effect, it has to be by your opponent's card effect. You can add a dark monster from your deck to your hand. Again, very good for link climbing both cards. Your first turn as a necessity to go into one of your bigger links. Again, this could easily be IP, but you can't use a link monster to link summon IP. For your link 3s, we're playing 1 Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardiche and 1 Nightmare Unicorn. Obviously, Rusty Bardiche is the cover card of the deck, so it's obviously got the best effects. And you'd be right in thinking that. Needs 2 or more dark monsters. During the main phase, you can send a Phantom Knights card from your deck to the graveyard, cost, to set a Phantom Knights card to your side of the field. Right, set a spell trap, list Phantom Knights from your side to your side of the field. Then, if a dark Xyz monster is summoned to a zone that it points to, you can destroy a card on the field. Very powerful effect. And then our Nightmare Unicorn is really well used with our dark because you summon it for free basically. When it's link summoned, you can discard a card, target a monster on the field, and return it to the hand. That's crazy because I said its effect wrong, and it's a card on the field, not a monster. So if you use it for IP, you can quick link it and use Unicorn, discard a card to spin something back to your opponent's hand, and it's any card. And then we use our Unicorn to go into our best boy access code talker. And again, if you can't afford the access code talker, you could very much use a Crusadia Mekk-Knight Avermax. Just be aware you could be dark locked, and you don't want to do that because Avermax is a light monster. But access code talker needs 2 plus effect monsters. If you use a link monster to summon it, you can target one of the link monsters that you use, and it gains 1,000 attack times that monster's link rating. So you use your Unicorn, it gains 3,000 attack. Important to know, Rusty cannot be used as link material. But access code has a second effect. You can banish a link monster from your graveyard to destroy a card on your opponent's side of the field. Now, it's important to know you can only banish 1 monster with each attribute per turn through access code's effect, and unfortunately, we're only running Dark Links. So you only get the 1 pop, but a 5,300 attacker that can destroy a card is pretty good. But with that being said, that's the deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it. I have certainly enjoyed playing this deck, and if you end up thinking of a better way to build this deck, please let us know in the comments down below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.